Hello, everyone, and welcome back to an Odd Content Podcast, a YouTube exclusive. Hello, everyone. My name is Jerome Cuson, and I'm joined, as always, by Brian. And Brian, we are going to be talking about X-Men '97. Actually, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I don't even remember at this point. We were doing basically every other week. Disney Plus made the decision to release 3 episodes all at once, and so we have decided that with this drop, we are going to do an episode, and then basically we will cover 2 X-Men episodes for the next 4 weeks or so. And we're also going to be getting into Batman Caped Crusader as part of these YouTube exclusives. But I think one of the big questions that was certainly on my mind was there are a lot of streaming shows that have really good first seasons, and then they struggle to kind of recapture the magic in the second season. And there's a lot of controversy with the executive producer and the showrunner of this, Bo DeMeo, leaving after season one, and there being a lot of controversy, which we may get into at some point, but I don't want to do that tonight. But we are going to talk about the first 3 episodes, and I think it made a lot of sense for them to release the 3 episodes as they did, as they cover basically 3 different time periods, with episode one covering the future, episode two covering the present, and episode three covering the very, very deep past. So I think with all that in mind, Brian, I'm going to ask you whether you think that season two is living up to the hype.
Oh, it's living up to the hype because you had me marking out, or the show had me marking out at the midnight launch. And that first episode, man, just it gave me all the feels, man, because that's the fucking Terminator movie sequel that I've been wanting for so long, since 2009. Show me the war, damn it. Give me the end of the war. And this is what this was, kind of, sort of. And you got the John Connor Cable connection, and you got like Cyclops in the Kyle Reese role. You know what I mean? And you got Jean Grey in the mom role, Linda Hamilton role, and it's just like so Terminator. It's just blowing my mind. I was just having so much fun with that episode. I think out of the first 3 episodes, that first one really got to me, just because of that, the Terminator connections, all that, and the stuff about fate and destiny, all those things that kind of come up in the first 2 Terminator films, kind of the third one. Yeah, this made me just kind of like, oh my god, I just regret watching the last 2 Terminator films and just being like, why can't we get this? But yeah, that was my first initial gut reaction, and I had to get this Terminator rant out of the way, and it's kind of out of the way now. But yeah, man, that first episode rocked my world. I think it's like a 9 out of 10 for me. The other 2 episodes are very good as well. We'll talk about why. But man, that first episode just rocked my world. And then the look of it was so like, normally I wouldn't like the colors, but like, I guess it's this dark future where there's no sunlight, right? So that, you know what I mean? It's
I
like,
mean,
holy
it
shit.
was still more colorful than Supergirl or a lot of Marvel movies, certainly.
Well, I didn't see Supergirl yet because you gave me this weird review that had me hesitant because you weren't sure if the '80s version was better or not. So that had me kind of like taken
And
aback.
I don't think very highly of that either.
Right, but
But yeah,
man, I normally don't like the colors when everything is dark, but they really pulled it off well in this episode. I think it's because they did a lot of contrasting colors, like neon kind of colors, to contrast the darkness. And I don't even know why
yes.
there's no sunlight, but that kind of adds to the mystery and like this craziness that this future is, right? So all these revelations will come about throughout the episodes and throughout the season, but I love the little bits and pieces they're kind of giving us of like who's who, and like it's clear that like somehow like that old woman is clearly what, Jean Grey from like a different timeline, right? That's kind of how this is
No,
going.
she is Rachel Summers slash Mother Ascani, voiced by Gates McFadden of all people. So there
Yeah,
are
I
two
noticed
Star
that.
Trek
Yeah,
connections, and we will talk about the other one when it is appropriate. But yeah, I mean, you have Gates McFadden in the role, and Mother Ascani is I guess like a Jedi kind of equivalent. And I think that what makes the first episode work is that they really do focus on the Summers family, and I think that's what you need to do given how the first season ended. Like so much of the first season was about Jean and Madeline Pryor and Cyclops and the relationship with Cable. And I think you have to start in that place as well, because clearly, like, we're building up to some sort of confrontation with Cable. and Apocalypse. So we're going to see how that all shapes up. But in this first episode, what ends up happening is the idea is that Nathan is seemingly destined to fight Apocalypse, and Cyclops and Jean are like, but what if she wasn't, or what if he wasn't? And they try to rescue him, and it turns into this to basically where they have to rescue Nathan, and just the way that develops is so good. I mean, it's really good stuff. And then I mean, the Storm Forge stuff is kind of a subplot in the episode, but I mean, you get a great showcase here, and um, I do wish that we had longer for with these characters because I mean, look, I think the show rightfully has made the decision that Wolverine is not going to be the emphasis like he has been in so much X-Men media over the years, not just the original animated series, but I think about the live action movies. Wolverine has basically been the focal point, it seems like, for the last 35 to 40 years. And I don't necessarily think that should be the case in this with this run of X-Men 97, but we didn't like I popped for the bone claws, but we didn't see the recovery. Like he was basically like dying, and now he's not dying. Like he's okay because the first episode takes place just a few months after their disappearance at the end of the first season. So you're really just focusing on this part of the X-Men. You're not really like jumping back and forth, which I think can be a good thing and a bad thing. I think when you're doing 30 minutes, I think it's really hard to do that. But I really like the fact that with this first episode, we are focused on Cyclops, Jean, Storm, Wolverine, Morph, Nathan, and Forge.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And you mentioned the Forge relationship. You probably are right in the fact that they probably fucked as soon as
Oh
they got
yeah,
there.
they absolutely. I mean, they absolutely did. No doubt
Yeah,
in my
man.
mind.
I keep picturing Forge like we never had Forge in live action, right? Like that's we had Bishop but not Forge. And I keep thinking Forge is
I mean,
like
we had Bishop for like a minute. We barely had
right.
Bishop in the live
But
action.
whenever they're thinking of Forge, I think he's like this old guy, but the way he's portrayed, he's not as old as I think he is. So I think if we ever get a live action version, we might get like a 30-year-old version of Forge and not this older version that I picture because of this. I guess because of Days of Futures Past, right? That's where my thinking comes from, where he's older. But I don't know.
I
I just
mean,
like him as
maybe,
this
but
age
even then, like
because I like him
kind
at
of
this age because he's the same age as the X-Men and he's hooking up with Storm and they're kind of like age appropriate. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I like this kind of change that I didn't really notice, but I think they kind of made it so where like they aged him down a little bit. But it's just something I just noticed this time around because like he's not nearly as feeling old as he did in the original show, even when they did Days of Future Past. So, and then I guess with the bone claw thing, my thing is like they don't need to show him healing, right? He just fucking healed over time, and
for the
you don't really
story
have
they're
to show
trying to
his
tell.
journey.
No, I
Yeah,
also
and
want
it's
to
not
point
like
out.
he's not getting the animating this season. I don't think. Like at least
I doubt it. I mean,
I
maybe. I
doubt
mean,
it because
episode
there's no
five.
focus on him.
Well, I mean, it's funny you say that because episode five is called Weapon X Lies and DVDs. So I think there is a possibility that it does happen in this season based on the title of that episode, and we can probably get into some of the other ones later. You mentioned Forge's age. I do want to point out that the voice actor, like so many of the other voice actors, Gilbert Birmingham is 72 years old. So although the characters are portrayed as being younger, a lot of this cast is definitely on the older side. And I'm also thinking about the actors who are playing Wolverine, Storm, and Beast, and Rogue. Like these are actors that are in the 60s and 70s. So it's a very interesting contrast that you have with these veteran voice actors at this point playing these younger characters, and I think it adds a lot of depth to it because I think you have a lot of people who are very qualified to do this. You don't have like famous people just doing this, and I think that's good because I think it adds a lot of emotions that I don't know would necessarily be there. So I also want to talk about like there's some really cool power stuff like we saw it in the first season, like the way that Cyclops uses his optic blasts, Jean Grey, and kind of it really this X-Men 97 has been a real redemption for I think both of those characters who I think were not always respected by the writers of the X-Men animated series, but I think the way that they're treated here, like they are the emotional center of the show, and they probably should be, and they probably always should have been the emotional center in the movies as well. But I want to talk. Can we talk about the Four Horsemen for a second? Because this is one of the coolest things that
Well,
is kind of a throwaway.
we pointed out at one point that who had his Arn? Jesus had his Arn with. uh, uh, Apocalypse definitely has his Arn because this dude was like in charge. The Sand Guy. I don't know his name, but I can just call him the Sand Guy. Not the Sandman, but he's a sand guy with sand powers.
Right?
But
Yeah, he's
man,
definitely like
he's
he's
definitely the
definitely
Arn.
yeah. He absolutely is. And like what impressed me the most is like the way that war is rendered. So war in this universe or in this timeline is basically like a Confederate soldier playing a drum, and that is really cool. Like that concept is amazing to me. And Pestilence like is basically coded as an Asian woman with an umbrella, and she takes the umbrella down and just breathes on Cyclops and Jean, and that also popped to me really good too because I mean, again, just the way that the powers look, it's it feels different and it feels like something you couldn't do in live action, but where we are with animation, you can do this extremely well, and you see a lot more of it in the next two episodes as well.
Yeah, and I want to point out that drum thing had me confused at first. I had no idea what was going on, and then the cloud turned into the drum, and the drum like turned into the arrow thing, and I was like, okay, they're really getting creative because I think in like in the '90s they would probably come up with like a power or something, or pick an X-Men or a mutant that had just like a simple power with like very little explanation to it. Oh, this guy can freeze things. Oh, this guy can set things on fire.
Perhaps I think I know who War is going to be, but we'll talk about that
Right.
later.
But now you got a guy that's turning or like air or gas into a drum that turns into a weapon. Like that's so creative. You know what I mean? Like who?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's
there's a
so
lot of
creative. I
creativity.
loved it.
I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of creativity, and when they rescue, like I think you see it in episodes 1 and 2, like when they rescue the mutants, and you get to see some of the different powers. I think it just looks really,
Oh, and then
it
we got
looks
to talk
really
about
nifty.
Cable's arm. Cable's arm, really quick. I thought that was like so awesome the way they did that, and that's probably the way it is in the comics. But the way it visually looked, it looks so like anime, like Japanese anime style, but it looks so like clean. I don't know. I love that the way they look. The arm just took over. Ah, man, that was great. I wish they had that kind of like sequence in the live action somehow, but I don't think we're gonna get that because
Well,
we're way past that.
I think
But
the way
man,
that
what a visual that was, dude! What a visual! I
it
thought.
was there are a ton of really strong visuals throughout the show, and I mean, I think that's one of the reasons that like something like Supergirl comes across as so much worse. And again, even the MCU movies that come out, like the lack of color and the lack of like really defining these powers and really taking them seriously, I think it hurts it a lot. And I think I feel much more emotionally invested in this than I do just about anything else in terms of superheroes. It's like it's this and Invincible. Like that's those are like my top two right now. And we're gonna move into the second episode in just a moment. But yeah, just a lot of really cool visuals and the way that this all pays off with Cyclops and Jean revealing to be Nathan's parents. Like that's a really powerful moment. And then Nathan helps them break free. They escape. And Apocalypse decides that he's going to peace out, go to the 90s to take on the X Men at their most vulnerable. And Nathan merges with Oksani's ship's computer. And we get that great visual of Nathan turning into Cable, and Cable is in the 90s, and it's a great ending, and like this in itself is a great payoff, but I think it gets even better in the next one, which we'll get to shortly. Any other thoughts on the first episode?
Well, I think the stuff that was really powerful for me is the fate stuff because it's almost like I always reference the first Kung Fu Panda movie in terms of like defining fate because in that movie, obviously the mistake was the little rat, sensei dude, set the guards up to extra guards to the tiger dude, and because of the extra guards, the tiger dude was able to escape. So he, in essence, was the hand of fate basically. So what is fate? Is fate predetermined? Can we change fate? Right? Is this the correct predetermined fate that course that we're on? Are we supposed to be on this course? Like this episode deals with all that shit, that stuff I love about time travel and philosophy, and like the baby Hitler question. Essentially this is becoming a baby Hitler season, right? Like, are we gonna
Oh
kill?
boy, are we going to talk about that in episode 3?
Right, because like it feels like we like it should have happened. Like we should have just killed him right here, but like we can't because of our morals, and it becomes this thing, and it's like, is this destiny? Is this the path that we're on? And then these three different timelines keep crossing over because of the what happened at the end of season one, and now we get this like incredible like what's the phrase? Uh, chicken and the egg, right? What came first? This is essentially this of like who's influencing who. Did Magneto turn Apocalypse into the monster that he becomes now? Right? Like, did Magneto change something in the past that we're not going to get the current Apocalypse? Maybe Apocalypse will change. A lot of shit going on.
There is a lot going on. So, with the first episode focusing on the future, the second episode focuses on the present in the context of the show. And I think that after the first episode, I'm like, how do they top this? And Brian, they did something. They did a miracle. They made me invested in X Force versus X Factor, and I have to say, I would happily watch like a 3 to 5 episode mini season of just X Factor and X Force, because the dichotomy here of like X Factor as the police of mutants and the government sponsor mutants, that is a great idea that I think Civil War didn't do nearly as good of a job as it should have. And then X Force are basically like hired guns, hired assassins. They're the equivalent of the A Team. And the way that this episode plays out, I don't know if it was as good as the first episode, but it comes pretty darn close.
Yeah, so basically, this is my girl Jubilee kicking fucking ass. Like, I've been waiting for something like this. She kind of had her
I
moments
mean,
last year.
you got it in episode 4. They definitely teased it, but like there's so much going on that you knew that they were not going to come back to it for a while. And this is the promise that was made in episode 4 of season 1, where Jubilee goes into the video game and gets told by her older self that her powers were going to mature and she was going to be a
Right.
more important member of the team. And she is, but it's not the X-Men, it's the X-Force. She is not only kind of rescuing herself at the end of the episode, but she is also the moral center of the team because she does not want to murder War, and War does get murdered. We'll put a pin in that. We'll come back to it, but say more about your feelings on Jubilee in this episode.
Yes, man. Like the sequence where she goes all out and beats up all the soldiers, I was like, finally, dude, like finally we get a sequence where Jubilee is showing her powers and kicking ass and fucking like owning it. You know what I'm saying? Like she's not the one in peril, she's not the one that gets kidnapped. Or she gets kidnapped, but she fucking gets out on her own, basically. And like
Yes.
and it's very like empowering and
And
her
she calls Havoc a knockoff Cyclops, which I popped for very hard.
yeah, and she gives us these insults to the X Factor team, and like the length of her hair growing, I thought added to like her maturity. Like, oh, this is a little older Jubilee,
Right.
right?
I
That
mean, and
added a great little
she's also the
detail.
one. She convinces Polaris to turn babyface.
Yes, and then I guess she's like the moral center of a Cable, right? Because Cable's like, right? They got that kind of relationship where it's like he's like the pseudo like dad, right? And it's like, oh, why did she have to go and do the moral thing when I can just leave? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
she drags him into it, right? Even though he wants to just take off and leave her there, but he's like, he gets convinced like she deserves better. She needs help. She needs your help, right? And that's what that makes the difference between you and like
Yeah. I
the X
mean, it is a
or
very
X Factor or
striking.
whatever.
There's a lot of striking visuals in this episode too. Not just with the X Factor versus X Force battle that takes place, which is really well done, but you've also got like this idea of Jubilee not only convincing Polaris that she's on the wrong side, but rescuing the other mutants. And obviously, you can't help but connect to, what's going on currently in this country. And like X Factor are the equivalent of ICE officers who are Mexican. Like this is literally, it is not quite a one for one, but it is about as close as you can get because X Factor are literally rounding up mutants and putting them in jail. And they can sugarcoat it all they want, but that is what is happening. And I think it's something that I hope that they get to explore more, either in this season or future seasons, or I would guess the spinoff is not forthcoming, but this is certainly something that is worth a conversation, and I think they handled it really well here.
Yeah, and considering that what X Factor's not a new thing, right? Like it's not I mean, it's been in the
Do you
comics,
remember
right?
who the original X Factor was?
Okay, this is not a just incredible joke, right? Because I was specifically texting my buddy when he texted me that the other night saying you're going to mark out for X Factor, and I'm like, did you just make a just incredible
No,
joke?
no, I'm not. So I do have one in the chamber, but I will give that to you afterward. The original X Factor were the original X-Men. Like that was the whole gimmick, was they were reuniting the original X-Men to be X Factor.
Oh, and they want him government sanctioned. So that was the okay. Okay.
Yeah,
That sounds about right. That sounds about right. If you can't get them on your side or get them under control, like convince them they're on your side and make them under your control. So yeah, I get it. I get it, man.
and the thing is that this show did something I never thought possible. They made X Factor relevant, something that the WWF could never do.
Zinger, there it is. And look, I'm not an anti, just incredible as a person. I'm just not a fan of his work. And X Factor
I
did
mean
not help much at
that
all.
song is an abomination, and
I,
the X Pac heat was real, man. It's just
yeah,
it
yeah.
was real.
We had
And
to touch on this joke because of the X Factor of it all, but yeah,
oh, did
and then
we?
the beginning. Listen, the beginning really got me because they switched the intro and they made it an X Force intro,
It is a
and
great intro. I
I was
they
marking
did a
out
cold
because of the
open.
creativity. Oh yeah, the cold open too,
Yeah, it
and
was a
then
cold open, and then they reveal it to the X Factor, and I think that's really great. Like I think the way that they did it, and somebody actually did a supercut. They put all three of the first three episode themes together,
you
and
showed
it's
me that
amazing.
was trippy.
There's
It's trippy.
there are no commonalities among the intros, and I think that's great. I think they clearly did that on purpose, but it works out really well.
Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna go full Monty and do nine individual intros, but I think that might be too much. But
I mean,
so
they
far
did
so good.
nine individual intros basically last year.
I mean, they still use the same like frames, right? They didn't like you just said they
I mean,
changed
but
frame to
Gene's that
frame.
like they manipulated us into thinking that Jean Grey was Jean Grey, but she wasn't because of the first two episodes. Her hair is down, and then it's in a ponytail for the rest of the season, and that
Oh
is
yeah,
that's
oh
some
yeah,
good
that's
shit.
true. That's another deep cut from the first season that adds that to the mist or the
And
to the greatness of this episodes.
I mean, they also had Wolverine in his red and into his in his burgundy outfit, which I thought
That's
was
true.
interesting because he's not actually in it in the episode.
Yeah, I know. It's all these little details, man, and I love the ending too. I don't know what it is, but I think they purposely use the same what do you call it, like jail technology as Thor 2, right? Because that looked
Yeah,
like
I
the
mean that's
exact
how it
same
looks.
cell as Loki was inside of, dude. I was like, did they repurpose this? And then of course we'll get to that.
I'm sure it's from the comics. That's what I'm gonna guess.
Yeah, and I thought it was a nice little callback too. I was like, okay, they're kind of paying
Yeah,
homage
I
to
think it
Thor
works out
2
really well.
randomly, and it actually worked because the set design matched what they were going for. Because it did look like the thing on the sea, right? What's that the thing called? The locker or something with
I'm
all
not
the
sure,
yeah, but
but
they're all like
yeah,
in a jail cell. But this is literally like an invisible wall shit going on. So that was really cool. And then her breaking out everyone at the end was really
yeah.
awesome.
I mean,
I
X
keep
Force does
thinking
help, but
like,
yeah, Jubilee's basically the one who breaks them out, and I mean, she does it by not manipulating. I mean, but yeah, I guess manipulating is the right word. She manipulates Polaris, gets what she wants, and then gets the other mutants out, and it's great. And
and she
the
thanks her
episode,
for it. Like, thank you for
yeah,
reminding me of what it was to be an X-Men. I thought that was
yeah.
like some powerful shit, dude. Like
I mean,
that's
Jubilee.
that's Professor Xavier's like legacy is that line, right? Like it's that
I mean,
thing,
it's
that
funny you
feeling.
say that, given what I'm going to say in the next episode. But we do have Nathan sending his parents and the other X Men back to the '90s. I don't know. Is it meant to be a meta joke that they keep talking about how we have to get the X Men back to the '90s? Are they just going for it, or is that an accident?
Maybe both, because like for people our age, it sounds like really like nostalgic, like a calling. But for people who are like 18, 20 year olds who watch this are just like, oh, they're going back to their timeline. They're going back to their timeline. And for us, it's like, they're going back to our childhood. They're going back to our childhood. You know what I mean? It's like, it's that kind of
I
thing. So I
guess.
respect it.
I
I
guess.
respect it.
So let's
Episode
talk about
three.
War's death for a second. What do you? So War is dead, but Apocalypse will be in the '90s, and it seems really obvious to me who's going to replace him, right?
Yeah, it's, well, I guess I can't call him Gambit. because my buddy was telling me they don't call him Gambit. His name is Remy. Damn it! And I'm like, fine, Remy LeBeau.
I'm
Like
glad
this,
it's as obvious to you as it is to
okay,
me.
but yeah, I get it, and I get why he's upset that people like call him Gambit when everyone calls him Remy because like Gambit is not like a name that's thrown around a lot in the X-Men '97 universe. I guess is his argument. Like, you know what I mean? So I get it, but it's still cool that
All
he's going
right.
back.
So I would say both the first two episodes are both 8.5 out of 10s for me. And episode 3 is not, I don't think it quite hits the highs. And I think part of it is like, I'm kind of tired of Xavier and Magneto sniping at each other. And I know that's kind of the whole purpose of the show, but it was just kind of, it was getting annoying in this episode.
This episode was missing one thing. They did not play chess while talking. That was the thing.
I
Like
mean,
I was waiting for it. I was like, they're gonna play Egyptian
so
chess,
the
and they didn't
premise
do
of
it.
the premise of this episode is what if Magneto could convince baby Hitler, in this case, and Sabanor, baby Apocalypse, to not be a genocidal maniac, right?
Right, and there's an even more layered twist to this because they threw in Rama Tut, and we all know who Rama Tut is, which is Kang the Conqueror. So now we're dealing with Kang the Conqueror again. I think like this is the second time he's appeared.
And do you realize who the voice was for that?
Okay, I was trying to figure that out. I did not. I noticed the what's his name? Worf, right? I noticed that
So
voice.
it's amazing to me that there are 3 Star Trek connections in this season so far. And in the first episode, we mentioned Gates McFadden, and then when it comes to this episode, Michael Dorr was really obvious. Like I picked his voice out right away. But basically, and Michael Dorn I think does a great job. Like he is just like Michael Dorn yelling at people is just always great. But the person who plays Ramatut is John Delancey, and you know John Delancey best as
Wait, John Delancey, is he fucking that annoying dude that comes in and out and he's like all
Q.
powerful?
Yep,
Q.
Q. Yes.
It's Q. Wow. Okay, I was like, okay, now that all makes sense. So now you think they're gonna what? Have Patrick Stewart be a voice?
I don't think so. I think Patrick
Come
Stewart.
on, this is built into something, right? It's not a
No,
coincidence.
it's I don't know if it's a coincidence,
And we
but
know that Star Trek has dealt with time travel so much, right?
I mean, the thing is
Especially the
that
next generation.
Ross Marquand is Charles Xavier. Also, funny enough, he is Apocalypse too. But like, I don't think Patrick Stewart's going to do a voice in the anime. I mean, I might be completely off on this, but I just don't see it. I don't think
I mean,
I.
you think about
They're
what the
not.
clues you just set in front of me right now. It seems like that's the path we're leading. Like, is the next episode going to
If
have like?
If Xavier wasn't in the show already, I would say you're onto something. But I mean, I don't know that they're going to go multiversal in the show. I don't buy that they're going to do that.
Well, it already kind of feels they kind of did that with these multiple timeline gimmicks crossing over, and
I
and
mean, I
I've
think
been
they're
watching a
putting
lot
the
of Dragon
emphasis
Ball
on
lately,
something.
Dragon Ball Z lately, and there's a lot of that with the Trunks character and the androids and stuff. So I'm kind of like into that notion of like just multiple timelines just crossing over, and what timeline are we in? So I'm for that. So with this episode, it kind of like again chicken and the egg did, where I was like, okay, so are we setting up that Magneto turned Apocalypse into the monster that he is now, or
Right,
like
like the irony of Magneto avoided a genocidal, like he avoided being part of a genocide only to create somebody who was even more genocidal than Hitler. Like that's the basic premise of Magneto's character, right?
I assume so, but I'm still not convinced that like I think maybe they altered the path, right? Like it feels like maybe that he did change something, but I don't know because by the end of the episode, he's back. Apocalypse seems like
I
he's
mean,
back
I
to normal,
guess.
but I
I
don't
mean,
know, man.
clearly we're going back to like I would say episode 4 or 5. Everybody is going to be in the 90s, probably, right?
Right. I think everyone's going to go back to the '90s and have this big fight, and then we're going to conclude this, and then maybe do another storyline for the second half of the season because it feels like this is
No,
going to wrap up
because
quick.
I don't think so. Because I mean, think about one of the names. So the name of the episode 8, is the Dead Man's Hand, which I have to believe is Gambit returning from death, basically. And then the last episode is called Survival of the Fittest. So I don't think that this is going to end anytime soon. I mean, episode
Okay,
5 is
that
Weapon
makes
X
sense.
Lies and DVDs, which that doesn't indicate that it's going to be the end of this run. Danger, I assume, is a Danger Room episode. Episode 7 is Strange Land, Savage Heart. I think Savage Land, I guess, is where we're going. I mean, like, it's is it possible that it's going to wrap up in the next episode? Maybe, but I just don't see it.
I don't know, because it feels like we're getting these like story points really quick back to back, and it feels like if we slow down, we're gonna like
I mean,
slow
the
the
first
story down. That's what I'm worried about.
if you go back and watch the first season, you will be. I think you'll be surprised at how quickly things move because they do move
Yeah,
very
that's why I
quickly.
like. That's why I'm like, man, maybe we're gonna get to this apocalypse story like end quick. That's what, at least that's the feeling
Yeah,
I'm
I
getting.
don't
But I
know.
guess maybe
I don't know.
not. Maybe they're gonna put on the back burner a little bit, do some other storylines. But it just feels like we got these 3 episodes back to back to back, and it seems like we're building really something quick here. Like something big's gonna happen soon. Like they're all gonna come to the 90s, and what's gonna happen? So that's the big question mark for next week's episode, because I guess next week's episode is going to be all of them in the 90s. But in this case, the
No, I
stuff with
think next week's
Egypt,
episode, I think they're going to conclude the Egypt stuff.
yeah, and they still didn't explain as to how, like, where this ancient technology came from, and it's obviously King the Conqueror, but like they're not telling us it's King the Conqueror. They're just saying Ramatut, and I don't know if they got the
I
rights
don't
to
think they're
use
going
the
to.
name. I don't know, but
I
it's
mean, they
very
do.
weird.
I mean, they own everything associated with Kang. I mean, Kang has no Spider-Man connections, and that would be the only thing that could possibly block it.
So then, I don't know, with this Ramatut thing, is it possible we get the Fantastic Four connection that, is dangling there?
I mean, I think that's.
So I don't know. It's
I
very
mean, in
possible.
the original season pitch was that Onslaught would be revealed, and he has connections to Franklin Richards, so that is
Yeah,
not
because
impossible.
I was shocked that they even threw Ramatot in, to be honest, because I felt like they would be too much. But now it's just kind of digging us deeper in the mystery hole, I guess, the mystery box, so to speak.
I
So
mean, but the
I
thing is
guess
that
I'm down for the ride. I guess I'm just kind of shocked that they went there. You know what I mean?
I mean, look, we saw Iron Man, Daredevil, and Captain America in season one in various forms, and like they were there for like a hot minute, and that's it. Like I guess Captain America spoke to Rogue, but like I don't. I think the focus is always going to be on the X-Men, and it should be like maybe the Franklin Richards stuff gets brought in if they, but who knows what changes they made with the original showrunner leaving. Like who knows? Who knows?
Oh, I quickly looked up some of the credits that have been released. So they only released like credits on Wikipedia for like the first 2 episodes, but Bonameo is credited as one of the co-writers. So it looks like they're sticking
I mean,
with
he should. I
his
mean, he
scripts.
should be, but like he's not in. I think there was a
Right.
certain point in 24 when he got fired, and it's no longer.
So I think pretty much they're just hanging on to his scripts or script skeletons, so to speak, and kind of like just using
Yeah,
that backbone, which is fine. And we're not going to talk about his actions. Just, I wouldn't say strange, just kind of like out there kind of actions.
there's a lot of stuff out there, man. It's not great. Maybe we'll talk about it at some point, but we'll
But
see.
yeah,
Anyway,
so at least we're going to get consistency within within these first 2 seasons, I guess, so to speak. So
yeah,
season 3 is going to be the one that's going to be like, are they going to drift apart or whatever? But at least these 2 seasons are going to be connected and consistent. So at least I'm
yeah,
happy for
and
that.
we'll see whether they get renewed or not for season 4, and we'll kind of go from there. That's all I got. We will be back in 2 weeks for a YouTube exclusive where we are going to talk about episodes 4 and 5. Brian, anything else you want to mention before we get out of here?
Oh yeah, I wanted to mention. I think Apocalypse killed that elephant. Um,
There's a
so
lot of
yeah, I think
murder in this season so
yeah,
far.
but the elephant, I was like, did they just kill an elephant? An elephant? So yeah, you'll see if you see the scene I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure that elephant's dead.
It is certainly possible. Make sure that you are also listening to the podcast version of our not content podcasts. We are going to be doing Greek Month, and we are starting with Hercules, and then we're going to get into Jason and the Argonauts, as well as the Odyssey that aired on 1997, almost 30 years ago, and we will go from there. No right match this month, but definitely click and subscribe on Apple and Spotify. Leave reviews, get those algorithms going. For Brian, I'm Jerome. Thank you so much for listening. We will talk to you again in 2 weeks about X-Men 4 and 5.